Let's. Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 128 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number 122 rimfire podcast in Canada. We're recording live Monday, April 9th, 2018.
Hi, I'm Gavin, a business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, and a CCFR field officer.
I'm Marty, hunter and sport shooter in rural southern Ontario.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a liberal, husband, father of 3, sport shooter, and the owner and operator of Tim's Good Shirts. I'm also a silver medalist.
As always, my name is Andrew. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical. And I am a bronze medalist because I placed 3rd in the open division for the Canadian Rimfire Precision Series in Owen Sound. But we're going to talk about that behind the paywall. So if you're not already a Patreon, listen for instructions.
I thought it was brass.
Quiet. We'd love to have your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. You can find the show on Stitcher and iTunes. I still haven't figured out how to make it work on Spotify. And there was an episode behind the paywall that was released to the public. I kind of just chucked it over the paywall. It didn't really download properly, so it may or may not be in your podcast app, and you may or may not be able to manually download it. But I promise that we did stuff behind the paywall that I tried to release badly.
Oh, as long as you promised. That's what politicians do. But you can check the podcast out on Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast or on the Instagrams at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help. To support the show, visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get the uncensored audio version of the show for just $1 per episode, and the more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. To do so, visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, go to the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
I guess that's me again. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces veterans, members, and their families. Every week, Arrowhead Coffee brings us What Are We Drinking? We'll start with Gavin. What are you drinking?
I'm probably going to regret this tomorrow morning, but this evening I am drinking what was a full bottle of Sailor Jerry's and Coke Zero.
What is it with you and sailors?
Well,
something
He's
long and hard
good
full of semen.
Oof.
Yeah.
hey man, they got a lot of money come shore leave.
Yeah.
There's so many Navy jokes I'm trying not to make right now. Marty, what are you drinking?
Spice Box and Coke Zero.
Good stuff, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, are you drinking anything with reverse osmosis water?
Yes, there's reverse osmosis water in my Ricketts Red because it's made in Ontario, and I'm drinking Ricketts Red because I like my beer red, like I like my government, because I'm liberal.
Subtle. Well done.
Way to hammer it home.
All right, so big topic tonight is going to be Gavin playing with whatever's on his desk and making all that noise. But also, we're going to...
Before we get to that, what are you drinking?
Oh, that's a good point. I'm drinking Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. Thank you for asking. I'm sure everyone out in podcast land was waiting to hear what I was drinking this week.
It's the only reason they tune in.
I don't know if that says something really bad about me or really bad about them.
No, it's true. We just lost like 9 YouTube listeners.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
I can go to bed now.
All right, big topic for the show tonight. We're talking about the Ontario budget because this is our prep work for the Ontario elections coming up in June because the writ has been dropped. Or the drop has been writ. I don't really... There was a throne speech. The Ontario government has been harangued.
All this talk of dropping and throwing people is got me wanting a helicopter real bad right about now.
Yeah, my jimmies are thoroughly rustled by everything that's going on in Ontario at the moment. Not least of all because I have to live here. I don't know. Let's start with the free stuff. Otherwise known as the Liberal Party trying to buy votes, or quite possibly Kathleen Wynne just trying to stay in power.
Sounds.
I don't know.
Right.
Do you guys? I'm not very liberal, so maybe Tim knows the answer to this. Has the Liberals had the Liberal Party of Ontario? Have they had their leadership race? Will the head Orville Redenbacher woman still be the head of the Ontario Liberal Party come June?
I haven't heard otherwise, but really, as a good Liberal, I'm more concerned about keeping analingus in the Ontario secondary school sex ed curriculum. So as long as I'm just making sure that stays in the curriculum for kids. I don't know what's going on with the party leader. So
it's important. I mean, because to be a good Liberal, you need to be a good ass licker.
Yeah.
So I've not heard of anything that she's going to replace at this point. So as far as I'm aware, it's going to be Wynne on the ballot.
Well,
which is really surprising, because I really thought they were going to do like a pump and dump and then just make her look like the devil, and then just throw her out like 5 months before.
It worked with McGuinty. I thought they were just going to do the same thing again. It worked the last time.
Yeah.
Well, 2 times ago.
It's certainly worth a try.
So it seems from this budget and from what they've been doing, they're basically taking the similar approach to what they did in the last election against Hudak, and that's promise everything, offer to spend all of the money, so that their opponent has to be the one saying, "No, we can't afford this. We can't do any of this stuff. We need to make cuts and balance this budget." And Ontario voters go, "No, we don't want cuts. We don't want that. We'd much rather have the free shit," and vote the Liberals back in.
Yeah, and you know that Ford's going to be the guy that says, "Let's cut this," because that's kind of what his legacy from his brother is.
Oh man, Ford's already
they're setting him up to be the fall guy here. They're setting him up to forcing his hand to come out and be like, "We have to cut all of this stuff."
I thought I had a quote from him, but he's already threatening to cut billions off of the budget.
Yeah. I mean, granted, some of the stuff that he's saying we need to cut, he's not going to be able to because it's federal, not provincial, but.
Yeah, but his heart's in the right. Well,
yeah, I don't disagree.
Place.
Yeah, I don't disagree with him on some of it. I'm just saying
maybe
that.
Learn what he's responsible for as the Premier of Ontario, but I mean, he's running against Wynne, who doesn't know what she's responsible for as the Premier of Ontario. So, I mean, really, the playing field is pretty level.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's go through some of the free stuff that they're going to use to buy votes of the Toronto proletariat. Let's pick a particularly triggering one to start with. I like this one. $11 billion to begin work on a high-speed rail line from Toronto to Windsor. Government is starting with the Toronto to London connection. Who the fuck wants to go to Windsor? Or Toronto, for that matter?
Well, given the automobile industry has kind of tanked, why does anyone even need to go to Windsor? I mean, Canadian Club can't be doing that well either out there because they didn't offer to sponsor us. So
they didn't directly refuse to sponsor us either, though. We really should get our marketing people to follow up on that.
I'll see what I can do.
Outstanding.
So yeah, this Toronto to Windsor high-speed rail line is one of those carrots that they keep dangling at every election.
Yeah, but this is the fourth election that they've talked about high-speed rail in Southern Ontario.
They talked about it last time as well.
Why do we want high-speed rail in Southern Ontario, and why do we want it to go to Windsor? I can understand doing the Golden Horseshoe, do Niagara around the lake to Toronto. That part makes sense to me because that's a very densely urban populated area. But
I think it's the Chileans get into America and then they go to Detroit, and then they want to be able to just hop on a train to Windsor and to just take the bullet train to Toronto and go on a housebreaking spree.
Whoa. You can't call it the bullet train. That's triggering.
Damn.
all right, if we're going to get derailed, at least read the rest of that article. Derailed, I'm also making train jokes, but mine are funny.
Oh, geez. You set the bar high. What do you want me to like explain my?
Yes, explain the thing for the listening audience about the Chilean.
Okay, yes, there was a break and enter organized crime ring that consisted of 14 Chileans in the Toronto area that were responsible for approximately 400 break-ins, accounting for like $2.7 million worth of stolen goods over the past in the recent past. So. Yeah, it was a.
I like Tim's approach. We should just do a podcast full of inside jokes and explain nothing.
Yeah, explain nothing.
Well, this has been thoroughly triggering.
Welcome
let's
to the Autism Hour.
No.
Balance the stupid fucking budget.
Are my drops working? I can't hear my drops again this week.
Yeah, they're good today.
Yeah, it was the Miley Cyrus one.
Outstanding. Okay. Yeah. $11 billion for a train that nobody wants. The only high-speed rail that I could see being even remotely useful in Ontario is Toronto to Ottawa, and that's only because the bureaucrats have to go back and forth.
Yeah.
I was hoping for like a Toronto to US type of thing, and they just all get on it, and none of them come back.
And they don't come back? Yeah, I'd be all right with that, too.
Like Toronto to Niagara Falls, and it just kind of stops at the falls, like the track just ends.
Well, like just a
Bombardier
little bit.
would do well on that deal because they'd have to keep building new trains.
What about like a fast train to the Diversity Gardens?
That would be lovely.
Because I'd like to see those one day.
Let's do another one on transit. Go Transit in this case is going to cut their fare by $3 for Presto card users in the Greater Toronto area. Go's regional transit service in the GTA and outlying communities around the GTA, both bus and rail service. So I guess I have to also subsidize people in Toronto, not just people in Toronto that want to visit Windsor for some inexplicable reason.
Hang on. I mean, we're only two articles in, and they're both covering Toronto. It's a strange coincidence.
I got bad
this?
news for you. I kind of foreshadowed this, alluded to it earlier, if you will. This is targeting Toronto voters because Toronto has the most control over the province for some reason. Because I guess we should let all the... Well, yes, I guess we should let all the rootless cosmopolitans in Toronto control what we're doing. So we've got... do I have any other Toronto-specific ones in the list? Probably not, but it's a pretty good bet that the one for the hospitals, there's $19 billion to build and renovate hospitals. It's probable that a lot of that money is going to go to hospitals in Toronto, rather.
Same with the schools one.
Yeah, the school one won't be exclusively Toronto, but Toronto has an abundance of specialty hospitals and also general hospitals. The school one, they have a lot of schools, but I expect that to be more spread out because schools are everywhere. Not to say that hospitals aren't, but there's just a very large density.
Everywhere, but that's not necessarily where they're going to put the investment into maintenance or building new ones. Like that's Toronto's going to get a disproportionate amount of that.
Of course.
Well, that's because there's very few voters in Thunder Bay sending their kids to school. Right? Who cares about them?
Well, that's kind of the point of this whole budget is who cares about anybody that's not Toronto, because this is vote buying aimed very directly at large urban centers, which...
Well, I don't know. I think we're overlooking. I think maybe people in Toronto are screaming out to go out and get out of Toronto and go to an urban center and go to Windsor. So I just went to the tourism Windsor Essex Pele Island site, and there's all sorts of things you could do. There's the Duff Baby Mansion, which is the oldest house in Windsor, built in 1798. You could look at that house, or you could go to the Jack Miner Bird Sanctuary.
Yeah.
All sorts of shit you could do there.
Caesar's Windsor.
Yeah, you get some good shows there. A friend of mine got married just outside of Windsor at one of the wineries there. It was quite nice. And pulling into town, because we all stayed at a hotel in Windsor, there is a disproportionate number of rub and tugs for all the business people that used to come there when the car industry was booming. Yeah.
And there's
I feel like we're getting sidetracked about Windsor.
Is it really a disproportionate amount, or is it just that your town?
Yeah, but who says disproportionate? Is it the Mormons?
I mean, not that I'm an expert on this, but driving in the 2 or 3 minutes it took us, we saw a lot of them.
You had 4 hand jobs.
At least.
That is disproportionate.
How many of them were from the premier?
None.
Vote getting.
If they were, you would have been eligible to receive some of the $2.1 billion that they're targeting towards mental health.
Well, at least then I could say that you gave me something instead of taking something from me, aside from my dignity.
There's also the Sandwich First Baptist Church, which is the oldest active black church in Canada. It was built by a group of former slaves. And I read that up because I thought with it called the Sandwich First Baptist Church, it would have been built by a group of women.
Yeah.
Trying to get this back on track, and I got nothing.
I'm done.
Yeah, that one got me.
You were saying something. Yeah, you were saying something about Ontario budgies.
I do
go
love
to
Ontario
budgies.
budgies. That's
Tony, go visit Windsor.
What? A couple of shots of whiskey.
I can live with that. Yeah. So, $2.1 billion spending for mental health, and another $17 billion over 4 years for mental health and addiction services for Ontario children, young people, and adults. I don't know why they specify all of the demographics, but
Well, they didn't want to leave anybody out.
Well, mental health is a human right, man.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Is there anything? We have a lot of articles that we called all the information out of. Is there anything particularly that any of you would care to address?
Well, if we don't, it's going to be a really short podcast.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I got an early day.
I like the visibly agitated Mississauga MPP.
Okay, we could do the visibly agitated Mississauga MPP.
Visibly agitated liberals are my favorite liberals.
I prefer bellicose liberals myself.
Oh my God.
This guy's pretty close to getting bellicose. So this is MPP Bob Delaney. He's the MP for Mississauga something. Mississauga Streetsville. Is that a district?
That sounds about right.
Mississauga Rat.
I hope you pulled the audio from this, right?
Oh yeah, I totally have some audio. So I'll play the audio. The first person that's speaking is the reporter, and the first person to cuss is the MPP.
These are solutions to the problems you guys have created. You've been in power for 15 years. So, I mean, why all of a sudden now? 2 months before an election?
Bullshit.
Oh, come on. Give me a break. What are you talking about?
15 years. I've been part of a government that has built this province. We took over.
You tripled the debt along the way.
And we have tripled it, and we're proud of it because we can afford it. It's the responsible thing to do. It's the correct thing to do. It's what people have asked us to do, and I would do it again, and I would do it proudly. And I'm going to go out there and knock on the homes of 50,000 doors and say, judge me by what I've done out there, and I'm going to win this election because we have done the right thing. We've done the thing that everybody in this continent envies this province at.
So I think we can take a couple of things from that. The first of which is it's very easy to trigger liberal MPPs.
Yep.
I thought you're supposed to build the city on rock and roll.
That's what we used to do. We don't do that anymore.
Now we just build it on debt now instead.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Well,
though, like
it's important to realize that building it on debt is what people asked for, and they're doing the right thing.
Pretty sure
it's
that's
the envy
that's
of
bullshit.
every other. It's of every other city and province and state, and
but the,
I mean,
the problem
everyone
is
is envious of our debt level.
the
It's
problem
important to realize that we're number one. We have the largest sub-sovereign debt of any sub-sovereign state in the world.
Yeah.
We're better than California. We're finally number one in something.
I mean,
It's
as somebody
my
from
great-grandchildren's money, but
like,
we're still number one.
I'm from Mississauga, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
like this guy never asked me what I wanted. I certainly didn't want to get more debt.
well, the
I mean,
negative
Apparently, you're
aspect,
not one of the 50,000 doors he's knocking on.
the negative aspect of the debt is not apparent yet. You can't just build a bunch of shit and go, there, look at, I did that, and then just like turn around and die basically and leave generations with a massive amount of debt, and then all this infrastructure and shit that they built will just crumble. But
And again, we're proud of the debt because we can afford it. I don't
No,
think
we
this
can't.
guy understands the meaning of the words that he's saying. If we can afford it, then we wouldn't have debt.
I don't know. I'm
Like,
pretty
you
sure
don't
there's
take out loans to pay for things that you can afford. You take out
Yeah.
loans to pay for things that you can't afford.
I'm pretty sure there's a quote from a movie that sums it up all really well, and I believe it goes something like, "If we build it, our great grandkids will pay for it." I think that's how it goes. I'm not really sure. I'm not a huge movie guy, but
It's either that or these amps go to 11.
but like, what would you expect with from someone who's in a political party that says, you know, deficits are a way of measuring success? Like, holy shit!
Well, very successful then.
Yeah,
yeah.
They've managed to create a massive debt. I enjoy that this dude got super triggered by being asked questions by a reporter.
yeah. But when you
Which
say
she then denied.
yeah, but when you say shit like that, that should be like a demonstration of insanity, and he should be removed from power.
Oh,
Yeah,
he should
well,
absolutely not be in public. Like, could you imagine if like I walked around telling people that what they're doing is bullshit? I'd have like a human rights tribunal against me, like so fast.
Oh yeah, but I mean, he got called out for the comment and then denied it, and then they released the audio for it, which is brilliant because it shows like, fuck you, we recorded this, you're an idiot, and now you're lying for sure.
Yeah, but I'm
So,
pretty sure he's still going to be your MPP when this is done.
Yeah, I know. Don't make me sad. I'm angry, but don't make me sad.
You need a trip to Windsor.
Yeah.
Like, it's
All right, here's my
disproportionate.
Get a sandwich while I'm there.
I mean, it is well understood that the government can sort of artificially stimulate economy by like spending. The Liberal government has overspent trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, you know, like we're putting us in this huge amount of debt while at the same time suppressing our economy. Like they've racked up huge amount of deficits at the same time making it inhospitable for business to operate in this province. Like, you know how impressive it is for a government to overspend that much while simultaneously killing the economy?
So what you're saying is you're not mad, you're actually kind of impressed?
I mean, no, I'm mad.
Okay.
At first. Confused second, because I don't know how they managed to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like with that much, you know, additional money coming into the province that's been, you know, borrowed, not actual real money, but just debt, but that much money being, you know, dumped into the economy, you would think that they would have done something to boost the economy. And yet simultaneously, like, they have tanked our economy, that they've simultaneously made it so expensive to do business in this province. You know, our energy prices have doubled. Like, you know, no one can open a business here and be profitable.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I'm
Like,
trying to do that.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't-
Like if
Dash my hopes and dreams.
And you're not.
yeah, you're right.
No.
Like if they had spent that much money, at least it should have given like businesses in the provinces an advantage, you know, to become prosperous and generate tax income. But no, they're destroying it. Workers are leaving. Industry's leaving. It's and have been for 5 years, like at least.
Yeah, like it's. I'm not saying that I'm for governments, you know, dumping money in the economy to artificially stimulate the economy. But if you're going to spend all that money, that at least that should be a side effect.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, but at least there should be a benefit, not it's all just bullshit and none of it is helping us.
No, I'm pretty sure if you jack up the hydro rates and increase the minimum wage and tax employers more and make more regulatory burdens, those things will all definitely help businesses.
Yeah, businesses outside of Canada.
Well, I didn't say which businesses.
See,
somewhere in one of the many articles that we found, there was a figure that I wanted to bring up, and it's that the new deficit spending, because we're at like, this budget will be like almost $7 billion in deficit, and it'll take till 2025 to balance the budget. Not that there's any actual concrete evidence to support that. It's just what the Liberals are projecting. There's nothing in the...
Remember like 3 weeks ago when said they were going to have a balanced budget?
Yeah, that was nice. I enjoyed that. I missed 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, none of the voters do that. So,
but budgets balance themselves.
Budgets
we don't need to worry about any of this. It'll just sort itself out. Free stuff for everybody.
Yeah, this makes me sad. So I was looking at the new budget deficit, and it works out that every registered legal resident of Ontario, you know, the ones that are obliged to pay taxes, have an individual tax burden of $22,000 as a result of this budget.
Yep.
That is almost half of what I currently pay in taxes annually. I realize that includes what goes to the federal government, but $22,000 per resident of Ontario.
Well, luckily,
that's absurd.
You can divert your tax refund towards paying that off so that it.
Good. Let's talk about that because this upsets me. Article from City News.
One split second, like just like if you jump up to federally, they the servicing the debt, the interest on the federal debt is more than any single government like organization, like natural resources or agriculture or whatever. Like it's just that's servicing the debt is larger than any one governmental department. That's the
servicing the debt of Ontario.
No, of the federal debt. The interest on the federal debt payment is larger now than any single department of the government.
Jesus Christ.
So it begins. Or continues.
Yeah.
It continues. Makes me terribly sad.
What asshole introduced deficit financing?
I don't know, but we should build a time machine, go back, and then prevent their parents from having them.
I think it's
their
Trudeau
mother
the
definitely
first,
should have
actually.
swallowed. Huh?
Yeah,
I think it's Trudeau the first.
Is it Trudeau the first? I don't know. Somebody intern on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the first PM to run a deficit? Go back, fix that.
Apparently, whoever was in office during the First World War.
Okay, so not Trudeau the first, though.
Diefenbaker?
Yeah, I want to say Diefenbaker.
We'll have to ask Earl.
He was probably against it.
Yeah,
I don't know. He might have some ideas to balance this budget, though. Maybe selling off the ivory.
It's good. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of axe handles to harvest that ivory.
Getting everyone making axe handles. Get rid of the surplus ivory. That's a good start.
I was wrong. It was Borden was prime minister during the First World War.
Was he liberal or conservative?
I
think he was
liberal. Prime minister during First World War. I don't know. I'm interning as hard as I can.
I'll intern.
He was both liberal and conservative and a unionist.
He was trans party.
He was trans political party, yeah. So it looks like he started as a liberal, got smart, became a conservative, was the prime minister, and then became a unionist.
Donald Trump did the opposite.
Yes. Anyway, sidetracked away. Let's talk about the Ontario donation of your tax dollars to help pay down the debt, because there's probably nothing that you can do with your tax refund that the government can't use it for a better purpose, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're so much better at managing money than I am, so they may as well just have it, right?
Yeah, the gall of these people is, I don't know. I'd like to say it's unbelievable, but that's not the case. Having
I would
say it's unbelievable if they didn't do the same thing last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Any government that can triple the debt
in 10
years.
Yeah, tripling the debt in 10 years for sure.
Yeah, they should definitely take all my money and be in charge of that shit. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They're clearly very good at it. So there is a, I don't know, the gall of the people that came up with this is amazing, but not in a good way. There's an option when you return your taxes. There's a box you can check to donate your tax return to the provincial government. I don't know why anyone would do that. And even the chair of the government's own treasury board says that it's unusual for someone to do this, but they encourage that Ontarians do this anyway.
I encourage them to add in their own box that says you are asking too much.
You probably shouldn't ask Wynne to do anything with her own box.
Yeah.
So all Ontarians, even Trudeau's two nannies?
Well, the ones that pay taxes.
Okay, and Sophie's staff also?
Again, the ones that are here legally.
Oh, okay, so not them.
Not them, no. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. Like, Hydro's gone up 70% in 8 years.
Yeah, but we got some of that back.
Yeah, we were selling off government agencies to balance the budget last year.
No,
but now
we didn't.
I would say, speak for yourself with the 70%. Mine's gone up a lot more than that.
Yeah, we didn't get it back. We got our bills, like 40% of our bills are getting deferred to, and the debt is being held by Ontario Hydro, and we're going to pay all that back with interest. So everything you're saving on your hydro bill from when it got slashed is going to come back with interest in 2019 after the election. So keep that in mind. Thanks, Wynne.
Should change your name to Lose.
Permanently.
Yeah. I'm just going to leave that in. We're just going to move on because I don't need a lawsuit or any other sort of libelous accusations. I do really want to thank Mi General Augusto Pinochet for joining us on the YouTube chat today. He has some very spicy comments.
It's an honor, really.
It really is.
Yeah.
And did you see, like, in that that article you posted, Ontario wants you to donate your next tax rebate. If you notice, Wynne is going out of her way to hide those pearly whites of hers.
Yeah.
They can show a movie on her teeth. That's all I'm saying.
Tooth.
Like one of those IMAX ones too.
Bitch is an IMAX.
I mean, she could just run a drive-in. That's all I'm saying.
Oh shit! If she could pay for the hydro.
Wow. Let's do something else with Wynne since we're we're bashing on Orville Redenbacher's ugly younger sister. Let's. I want to bring up something that she said not so long ago at Humber College. She was addressing students at Humber, and she said, "If you don't vote, then somebody who looks like me is going to vote. Some senior person, older than me, some white person." Because I guess it's bad to have old white people voting in Ontario now.
Well, yeah.
How young does she think she is?
Well, she's 64, but I mean,
Yeah, but by throwing
she's not young. She's effectively a senior, right? Like that starts at 65.
Right. She's like, oh, if you don't vote, some person older than me is gonna vote. Like, you're old.
You kids gotta vote for me, or else people like me.
That's
the only way that this could have been more
people gotta stick
inflammatory.
together, guys.
It's like that meme.
Hello, my fellow kids.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, with Steve Buscemi.
Buscemi.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Hello, my fellow kids. I think that's what it was. But it's Steve Buscemi.
Damn those 1%ers, eh? You know,
Yeah, like the only way that she could have done this better is if she went for the trifecta, and if it was old white men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who listens to those guys?
Cisgendered or whatever the bullshit is.
like Trudeau is the 1%. You know.
No, Trudeau is the top part of the 1%. Like, the 1% of that percent.
Because his car costs more than some people will make in a lifetime.
Yeah, his car is worth millions of dollars. They are completely out of touch with reality, and so is Wynne. Like, addressing college students, and if you don't vote,
they're part of the middle class and those wishing to join it.
And why is she even talking at a college? Like,
because she's at Humber trying to get votes.
I mean, maybe they thought she was Sue Johansson and they booked her for like Sex Ed Week. Because they kind of look the same too.
That's not a thing.
That was not good.
That's not the thing.
Because she spoke in my university when I went there, and that was traumatic. Hilarious, but traumatic.
We had Ron Jeremy at ours.
That's way better.
It's still pretty traumatic, actually, but also funny.
Whatever. I've shaken that guy. I've shook that guy's hand several times.
He debated a feminist.
That would actually be amazing to watch.
That does sound like
it was pretty funny, actually. Yeah.
Okay, pivoting away from porn stars and back to the premiere. Do we have anything else with this? Because I'm triggered about the old white people thing, but there's really nothing to say. It's just
old white people trigger
but
me
I don't
too.
think we didn't have to. Everybody understands that this budget was just throwing cash.
Yeah,
it's not a
billions
budget.
and billions of dollars to try and get elected again.
She was a rapper at a strip club, just making it rain.
Yeah.
It's not a thing that I ever want to participate in. None of that sounds appealing.
What if we can get them to play video games with us, though?
I don't want to be
rappers
in a strip club
strippers.
with the premier or rappers. None of these things. I sure don't want it to be raining. Does not sound like a pleasant experience.
You go up to a stripper. You go up to a stripper and you say, "If you're good at something, never do it for free." It's like, oh wait, never mind. You're way ahead of me.
Someone hand him his axe handle. Yeah. All right. Any other budgetary things? Is there anything you guys want to address specifically? Because there's a lot of basically, they're just like $1 billion here, $2 billion there. Like Wynne is doing her very best Oprah impression. Everybody gets $2 billion.
So what if we just stopped calling it a budget and started just calling it what it actually is, an expense report?
Theft?
Well, that too, but that's what they're doing to pay for it. But there's no money coming in, money going out.
Why not?
It's just money.
I think the better way to do it, call it a campaign expense.
Yeah.
And then fine the party for overspending their campaign basically cripple the party financially because they're overspending their campaign budget.
Yeah,
I'd be okay
Here's
with
what,
that.
actually,
How do
let's
we?
talk about the OSAP one. Let's talk about that OSAP one.
Okay, let's do OSAP. OSAP's free for everybody now, unless you come from a middle class family.
Up for it, so OSAP is now, so basically it's free tuition for anyone that earns up to $90,000 a year. Isn't the like median budget in this province like 40 or 50,000?
Medium income.
Yeah,
last
I want to say the median income is like $48,000 in Ontario.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
So remember like a year ago when they introduced this, and it was like just to help, you know, the low income earners, allow them, you know, make it equal. Now it's like everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone gets free tuition now, basically.
Well, like, except for the people that were unfortunate to be born, you know, like a little bit too early.
Yeah, there are people that graduated like last year or this year.
Yeah. Well,
just,
yeah, and it
they're going to be
devalues their degree.
They're going to be burdened with a huge amount of debt, and then they're going to be paying taxes on this shit.
Yeah.
Yes, and their degree, because soon everybody's going to have that degree.
They're devaluing the degree. Yeah.
Well,
they're fucking up the market as governments do.
Yeah. The people that are actually paying for it probably are going to school for something worthwhile,
like transgender studies.
No.
Well,
like the
more
kids
so than
school,
people that don't have to worry about
graduating
it
high school and going to school. Like they're basically, you know, they're told that they have to go to university and get a degree, and then like the vast majority of them are not going through a career paths. They're going to get the degree because that's what they have to do.
Oh yeah, but
and they're taking out thousands of dollars worth of debt because that's what they have to do.
Hopefully, at least some of the smarter ones are going and taking something productive.
No, I'm reading the YouTube comment from me, General Pinochet. I'm pretty sure a lot of these people are going to take the free tuition and are going to use it on something stupid like art class.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Like, so the people that are taking the money now and have to pay it back are hopefully taking something at least somewhat productive. Moving forward, when they don't even have to pay that back, it's going to get even stupider.
No, man,
I would say like, this.
Look at Laurier.
Let's say like.
Sorry,
I'd say this: like the 10% of people that are going to be productive in our society that historically would have gone to university regardless. They're going through to university and taking the education that's going to make them productive. The 90% of people that are not productive in our society are now going to university and taking non-productive degrees because they're told that they have to go to university. Yeah, and they're taking out the loans just the same.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's just going to get worse, though. That's my fear. That's my fear.
Like, they've been devaluing university education for decades, while simultaneously driving up the cost of university educations because it's all being subsidized through government programs.
But they're going to be doing that to college too, though. Like the whole thing is just going to get worse.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. That's what I'm saying. Like
we are all in agreement. It is definitely getting worse because more government.
Yeah, because when there's no financial burden incurred, like why fucking do anything? Like I'll go take basket weaving just so that I can pay paper.
Well, and
I don't know what
if I totally fail.
Absolutely,
I don't know what I want to do.
Take
experiment. I'll just try a couple different degrees and see what one I like.
Well, yeah, and if I totally flunk out,
go and do that. Take your 2 or 3 degrees in basket weaving or interpretive dance or studying the mating habits of the North American red squirrel or whatever. But realize that when you come to get a big boy job in a professional firm, I'm not hiring you because you have no real skills. So I hope you enjoy working at Starbucks or whatever it is you're going to do for minimum wage if you can get a minimum wage job, and I don't replace you.
But to address Augusto Pinochet's comment, like artists can do some amazing things. We've had a few stories about art installations in Calgary, Alberta, the rocks on the steel beams, and then there's the Should I Be Worried neon sign out in BC.
Don't forget the
you,
giant yellow fucking duck.
Yeah, or you could look at the Ontario
or,
Cannabis Store logo that cost the government
And none of those were Canadian
$600,000.
artists. So
Has
what's
anyone
going on
seen
with
the?
our art education?
well, what
That's,
about the?
Have you guys seen the Ontario Cannabis Store logo?
Yeah,
No.
Okay,
that was
Yes.
fucking terrible. But what about the Inuk
Is it
Shucks
awesome?
in the airport?
No, it's horrible.
Those have to have been a Canadian artist. The Inuk Shucks.
I did a Google on Ontario Pot Store logo cost. It cost $650,000 to develop that logo.
It's beautiful though. I mean,
Googling
It's
now.
like Arial font with not a real logo.
And a circle.
It's a circle, and the default
Well,
font in Photoshop.
The OCS, this logo?
Yes.
We paid
$650,000.
$600,000 for that?
Well, don't get
No.
all upset, man.
No,
Well,
my grandchildren paid $650,000 plus interest for that.
So like I'm relatively certain that
This
the
was
grain
literally
mill
5
down the
minutes
road
in.
has the same goddamn logo.
Yeah, the grain mill down the road from you does have that same logo because it was the same fucking program that made it. It was the first option in Photoshop. It's a circle and Arial like big Arial font.
Photoshop, I can make this in Paint.
Well, you should make it in Paint because you would save on the licensing fees and that would increase your profit margin.
yeah, that's true.
So anyway, yeah, all that shit you can do with art degrees. It's amazing with a stupid government.
Yeah,
Chuck them out of helicopters. I mean, no wait, that's not. Yeah, no, that's what I meant.
you could do that with an art degree too.
Kick them out of helicopter. I think that's
All right,
less work that way.
let's work. Economy of motion. It's just efficiency. That's all. Let's do the last one. It's not budget related. We're gonna follow up piece on the National Post. This goes to a story that we talked about at length quite a while ago. Christy Blanchford, investigators report into Wilfrid Laurier University vindicates Lindsay Shepherd. For everybody out there in podcast land that doesn't remember, Lindsay Shepherd was the teaching assistant at Laurier University that holds extremely right-wing Nazi-like ideas, like you can show two sides of a debate, and one of those sides can be Jordan Peterson. This is definitely not allowed and makes you literally Hitler. No, wait, the other thing, the university actually said that was wrong. They looked into it, and she, in fact, did do nothing wrong.
Well, aside from showing two sides of a debate and letting people make up their own mind.
Yeah, by airing a debate that was on television,
Okay.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't.
they essentially ruined this girl's life over this too.
Yes, but
Like-
the thing to take away from this is that she's no longer a liberal.
Yeah.
Because she used to identify as a leftist, and now she realized that the leftists are insane people.
because she had a nice run-in with some neo-Marxists and her.
Yeah, but like she totally ruined everyone in her class's life by showing them two contrary opinions and asking them to decide like that. You can't do that.
She wasn't even asking them to decide.
Decide based
She
on the
wasn't
merits
even
of the
asking them to
argument.
decide.
She didn't
She
even
was
agree
showing
with it.
two sides of the argument, and they were talking about the argumentation that was involved. She wasn't even asking them to pick a side that they agreed with.
Yeah, and the head of her department said that by just presenting the Peterson argument without as neutral wasn't good enough. She
You
had
must
to show
first
it. Yeah,
denounce
yeah.
the Peterson argument.
Yeah, you had to
Because-
show it.
because they were
That's
because
triggering,
they were
guys.
first years, and they were only 19 or 20 years old. They were not old enough or mature enough to hear the other side without prior sort of hedging it to explain that this was a poor, this was the wrong think.
Yeah,
And
then-
at 16 years old, we want them to be voting in our elections.
they're
luckily,
only
yeah.
old enough to make those important decisions, not about what they believe in and what is bullshit and isn't. Like, Those are
teach them how to
important
do
things.
analingus on one another, and then teach them how to vote for the liberals.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that they can continue to do analingus on one another.
But they got to know analingus in high school. That's what the curriculum set up.
That's what I say. Like, you teach them analingus, and then you teach them to vote liberal, and then you lower the voting age so that they can practice analingus in public.
Yeah. But then, so luckily she recorded this haranguing that she received by the department head and two other people, and it became a YouTube like viral hit kind of thing. And but she, like, this is like, you're right, like she was on the path to a certain career, and she was a graduate student, like she was near the end of her education. So she's now going to be out of university, wondering, like, her worldview and her view on the, like, it's just been turned right upside down, and she's going to have this huge education to pay for, more than likely, and then suddenly she's going to be paying taxes so anyone with a household income under $90,000 can get free tuition, can get what she just went through for free. You know, it's absurd. Yeah. But anyway, during her recorded conversation, there was one part,
right?
Like, she specifically asked, she said, how many people complain? Like, how many people are upset? Is it one? Is it two? And they just said, there have been complaints.
Yeah, we can't tell you that. Or
we can't tell you how many people complained. And then this investigation into this the instance proved that there was not even one complaint. It was all driven by the department and the neo-Marxist shitheads at Laurier.
And again, like you said, she was on this path, kind of looking towards, being involved in education type of thing. And this would have completely ruined her career. She was lucky in that she recorded it and this became a public thing. And so at least she's been able to get some vindication. But otherwise, there's a good chance she would have just been blackballed and would have had no future in education.
Yeah. So like when everything's going well and then suddenly you got the rug pulled out of you, I think that's called a Patrick Brown. She was Patrick Brown.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of like I kind of asked Andrew, I said, we got to do this follow-up kind of thing. And he was eager to do it because it was a good part on it was a good portion of an episode once. And none of us are surprised at this at all, but we all kind of had the feeling that this was entirely driven by the administration. And it's just kind of nice that it was finally came to light that, yes, this was all driven by the administration. There was not even one single complaint about this viewing of the article.
Well, I mean, it's kind of nice. We do a lot of blackpilling stuff. It's nice to finally have something that, like, I don't want to say has a happy, feel-good ending, but at least has a positive outcome where, the bullshit detector went off and people realized that it was going off for good reason and believed it and followed through and were like, yeah, no, that was bullshit. Like, that didn't happen. Like,
oh, well, okay. If we left it there and, Lindsay Shepherd rode off into the sunset, I mean, that would be a pretty good ending to this story, but sadly that's not the case. So the president of the university, McClatchy, she has a first name, Deborah McClatchy, maybe. In a prepared statement she released, she added that instructional material needs to be grounded and the appropriate academic underpinnings to put it in context. The entire discussion needs to be handled properly. We have no reason to believe this discussion was not handled well in the tutorial in question. But they're going to strike a task force, they're going to strike a task force on the freedom of expression and development of a statement for the university. So
there was no complaint.
There was no complaint.
Quit spending money.
But they need to do something to ensure that these things don't happen in the future. So
against
the fact that there was no wrongdoing on the part of Miss Shepherd, the university feels that they need more oversight in their TA program. Where's the quote? I think I have it in the show notes.
That doesn't sound like freedom.
Good point.
Oh, that's a different article. It's in the show notes. The university president said that the incident highlights the need to enhance our faculty and teaching assistant training, and is pledged to make such training mandatory in the future for both TA supervisors and teaching assistants. So this is implying that Miss Shepard's behavior was not desirable by the administration of the university, and that had she had been supervised better, the information would have been presented to the class in the way in which it was.
Yeah, nothing about that sounds like freedom of expression.
You know,
essentially, there was no like guidelines or rules saying that you couldn't present a fair and balanced opinion on something. So they're going to take steps to amend that so that it's against the rules to prevent a fair and balanced opinion, and you must present the one-sided liberal agenda.
You know, these universities, I'm so fed up with them. Like, they're just turned disgusting. And I'd like to, my kids are far from going to university age, but I would like to be able to just, like, if you don't like a restaurant, you just don't go to that restaurant, and that restaurant will suffer. So that's what should happen at these universities, unless there's something going on in the government that would just flood these people with customers. I wouldn't want that to happen. Like I wouldn't want free tuition given to, people if their household income is less than $90,000, because that wouldn't just reward these institutions and expand them.
Yeah, heaven forbid that happens.
Yeah, with our tax money.
Yeah. We're going to be going through a lot of axe handles with Earl.
Yes. Plant ash trees. The future is ash and hickory.
Hickory is the finest of axe handles.
Hickory is, yes. Ash makes good longbow arrow shafts. Just ask the French.
Okay.
That's a historical reference there,
yes.
Dating way back. Has something to do with where the British came up with the finger that's not the finger, Yeah.
There was an old text about a guy who was talking about making bows and arrows, and he was talking about the different woods to use in arrow shafts and which was appropriate for targets and which was good for war. And he said something like along the lines of ash will deliver a mighty stripe, which I guess is good.
Well, okay, so I guess I was going with something else historical, because there's a president in the United States by the name of Andrew Jackson, who was known as Old Hickory, who found that he was not above beating his failed assassin with a hickory stick, which personally I would like to see more of our politicians being beaten, but hickory stick
or assassinations attempted on.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're going to assassinate somebody, beating the assassin with a hickory stick seems like a thing to do.
What about beating politicians with hickory sticks?
Every time they lie, I'm fine with that. Flog them every time they lie.
Or more economical ash switches.
Also acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah. Cat of nine tails will work too.
All right. Let's remind listeners, there's petitions going on with regards to C-71, the proposed changes to the Firearms Act. Go to oneclearvoice.ca, print out however many of the campaigns you haven't already printed out. There's 7 of them now. Mail them. It's free to send written letters to your MP's office in Ottawa. You can do this for literally the cost of a piece of paper being printed. Go and do it. Send lots of letters, because lots of letters, well, it may not help. They judge the response of the public based on the feedback they get. Send them lots of dead trees. It makes our point. Well, it may not necessarily help us.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt us. I mean, there's a lot of people that refuse to sign the e-petitions or even send an email and this and that and everything else, because, they're like, oh, it's not going to do anything. Well, 30 seconds of your time costs you nothing. Do it while you're on the shitter and you got your phone on you. Like, you're multitasking then, right? So, like, you're not wasting any time at all. But if you don't do it and this passes, you've got nothing to say. Like, you're just as bad as everyone else.
The past is proposed.
If we can,
just embolden some.
Yeah, sign the petition. Get your spouse to sign the petition. Get your brother to sign the petition. Get your sister to sign the petition.
Yeah,
and we've all signed the petition, and the numbers are up really high. So now, encourage your family members to sign it. Let's get those numbers up. And here's the thing: it might not make a difference to the vote. The Liberals are probably going to vote for it anyway. But there's two possibilities. If they vote for it anyway, the one is, this is the largest petition that e-petition Canada's ever, gathered. And we could say, hey, we've signed, the largest petition in Canada, e-petition in Canada, was ignored by the Liberal government. Or we can not say that.
Yep.
So,
and I mean, just throwing this out there, but the only thing you need is an email address. So if your brother or your sister or your whatever, if they're not willing to sign it, I mean, in theory, you could just create an email address in their name
and help them out
and sign it for them.
Yeah, your kids too. Your kids, they make great, signatories.
In theory, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but just pointing out the fact that you could.
You could, yeah.
Right. So oneclearvoice.ca, email them, then print and mail those. Go on the government website, find E1608. Sign the thing. It's past 60,000 signatures. Let's go for some more because I want a high score.
Yeah, 60,000 as of I'm looking right now. Even though
coming up, we have
about that today.
That's still nowhere near the 2 million legal gun owners in this country.
No kidding.
The rest of you that have not done this, you're slacking. Get on it. If you don't know how to use a computer, ask one of your kids, although I don't know how you're listening to the show if you don't know how to use a computer, but
ask your kids.
Some people's grandkids
I have to mail out a lot of cassette tapes.
Yeah, if you own firearms and you haven't signed the e-petition yet, ask your girlfriend's kid's mother or father how to use a computer.
That if you're watching the show and your grandparents own file, ask them on it, do it for them, walk them through it.
Yeah.
Get your great grandson to email a cassette.
Yeah.
Right. General Pinochet makes a good point on the YouTube. For listeners that are newer to the show, we put show notes up every week. I put links to the things that we talk about in because unlike the real media, I cite my sources. And that includes links to the petition. So in this week's show notes, if you go to our website, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, this will be episode 128. So it'll be CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/CPP128. And if you go down past the news, you'll see a header called petitions with links to both One Clear Voice and E1608. So always read the show notes. They're good. I put a lot of time in on them. Not really. I copy and paste news and make my highlights. But
that's still more than anyone else does.
Well, everyone knows we produce the best podcasts.
Yeah.
Coming up, we have the 8th annual Canadian Firearms Podcast Network charity shoot. Other lesser well-known podcasts will be there. The event's being put on by the Slamfire guys. Send Trevor an email, slamfireradio@gmail.com. I guess they couldn't spring for the domain name, or maybe they need their grandson to help them set it up. This year, the charity
money on therapy dealing with clowns.
This year's charity is Clowns Out for Trevor. No, I mean the Dahazi Regional High School Breakfast Program.
That's that mental health.
No, it's in New Brunswick, not Ontario. Oh. They're not getting $1.8 billion for clowns.
Okay.
Yeah,
I keep that phobia for another couple of years.
July 5th is a handgun class. It's the Ferlacci Handgun Fundamentals with Trevor and Matt. I'm pretty sure they're full. There's a maple seed. I guarantee it's full. And Saturday, July the 7th, is the actual charity shoot. The cost is $25. There's a bunch of stuff going on. See the Restigouche Gun Club website for your letter of invitation.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. Gavin and I will be there. We're bringing our spouses, and I'll be bringing my offspring.
And guns. And guns.
So many guns.
Yeah. Even guns we don't need to use while we're there just because we can.
Especially those guns.
Yeah.
We have rapid fire feedback this week. 5-star review from iPad for Work. Title of the review is one of my favorites.
That's Pakistani, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
The review reads, the only voice of truth in the Canadian political commentary landscape, a mix of humor, information, and insight. Please keep it going. Drink whatever you want. I have no desire for agency over you. I want to thank iPad for Work for their feedback. I am not sure that we are a voice of truth or information and insight, but we are pretty fucking funny.
No, I think we are. I mean, it's our truth.
That's right. My pronoun is Trudeau's a cuck. Anyone who doesn't call me by my pronoun is also a cuck. And in violation of the human rights thing.
Wait till
right.
you see
I identify as my pronoun is Trudeau's a cuck.
Wait till you see the cake he wants. Jesus.
It's going to be huge.
It's gonna be huge.
He's going to be paying bigly for it, though, but it'll be worth it.
It's okay. My great-grandchildren can pay for the interest.
Yeah. All
right. Gavin, where can everybody find you on the internet?
Yes. Aside from on the show, you can find me on the Instagrams, Urbex_GTA or Guerrilla Works.
Right on. Marty, where can everybody find the show?
You can visit us at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. We value your opinion. No, we don't. But you can send us your opinion.
We like
at
email.
CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback. Or you can email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com and let us know what you think.
Yeah, as the only voice of truth, we can't say we value your feedback. You might be an idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're providing valuable feedback for the last time compiling.
I value negative feedback. Like positive stuff is like great, whatever. I know I'm awesome, but like I want the hate mail. Like their hate fuels me.
Where did we leave off? Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at facebook.com/TimsGoodT-shirts. All one word, no hyphen.
No hyphen. No hyphen for you.
No hyphen.
As always, my name is Andrew. You can find me at RagnarokTactical.ca. I just added some cool stuff to the website. We're officially a Matador Arms dealer now. I would like to thank Matador Arms for allowing me to sell their muzzle devices. If you need a muzzle device, please let me know.
Who needs a muzzle device? Politicians.
Yeah. Oh, we should make that. We should totally make that.
What kind of material would stand up to Wynn's teeth?
No, I think we go in a totally different direction with this.
Just remember, if you're in Ontario, balance the budget, sell the ivory.
Sell the ivory.
Sell the ivory.
I think that's a shirt.
Yeah, that definitely is a shirt. One of my shirt making associates of the two of you there need to make that a shirt.
Yeah, we sold all our gold. Let's sell the ivory.
As always, I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. I'm afraid we could not fit him into the show tonight. We were talking about the Ontario budget, and I did not have the time to include any commentary about how beautiful British Columbia is. I hope you can join us on a future episode.
I hear it's quite
For
good.
all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true north, strong and free.